The first time we detected their ships in our solar system, most of humanity thought we were done for. Massive vessels, each one larger than our biggest cities, emerged from what our scientists could only describe as tears in space itself. The Galactic Empire, as they called themselves, had stumbled upon Earth during their routine expansion surveys. They didn't even bother to hide their presence. Why would they? They'd conquered thousands of worlds across multiple galaxies, and to them, we must have looked like mere insects. But they made one crucial mistake. They'd never encountered humans before. I remember standing in the United Earth Defense Force Command Center that day, watching as Admiral Chen's face remained surprisingly calm on the main screen. She just finished reading the Empire's demands for our immediate surrender, delivered in perfect English thanks to their advanced translation technology. The room was dead silent, filled with the gentle hum of computers and the rapid beating of our hearts. "Send them our response," Admiral Chen said, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. The communications officer hesitated for just a moment before pressing the broadcast button. What we sent wasn't a surrender message. Instead, it was a simple warning backed by humanity's entire historical archive, chronicles of our wars, our struggles, our victories against impossible odds. We showed them how humanity had clawed its way up from caves to the stars. We showed them Warsaw, Thermopylae, Stalingrad. We showed them our victories and our losses, our resilience and our determination. "We are giving you one chance," Admiral Chen's message concluded. "Turn around and leave, because if you don't, you'll learn why no species in the known universe has ever successfully conquered Earth." The Empire's response came swiftly: laughter. Their supreme commander, a being who appeared almost crystalline on our screens, found our warning amusing. They'd broken worlds far more advanced than ours, they said. They had technologies we couldn't even comprehend. Their smallest scout ship could level our largest city. What they didn't understand was that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't our technology. It wasn't our ships, or our guns, or even our nuclear arsenals. Our greatest weapon was something they'd never encountered in all their conquests: the sheer, unrelenting human spirit. As I watch their massive ships positioning themselves for what they think will be a quick subjugation, I can't help but smile. Across the globe, our plan is already in motion. In underground bases, mountain fortresses, and secret facilities beneath the oceans, humanity is preparing to teach the Galactic Empire a lesson they'll never forget. They think they know war because they've conquered defenseless worlds. They think they know struggle because they've crushed civilizations that gave up at the first sign of defeat. But they don't know what it means to face an enemy who turns their children's toys into weapons, who transforms their kitchen utensils into tools of resistance, who will fight with sticks and stones if that's all they have left. The Empire doesn't realize it yet, but they just started a war with the most dangerous species they've ever encountered. A species that not only survives but thrives in chaos. A species that grows stronger with every defeat. A species that has turned war into an art form. As I watch their ships through the command center's window, blocking out the sun like artificial clouds, I know that humanity is about to show the galaxy why you should always listen when someone warns you to run. Because we weren't trying to save ourselves with that warning. We were trying to save them. The first strike came exactly as we predicted. Their energy weapons lit up the sky like artificial lightning, targeting our major military installations. To their surprise, they found most of them empty. See, humanity had learned long ago not to keep all our eggs in one basket. The bases they destroyed were mostly elaborate decoys, filled with outdated equipment and convincing holograms. The real show was about to begin. While their sensors were still trying to calculate the damage from their initial assault, our quantum pulse networks activated. These devices, barely the size of a coffee machine, had been secretly installed in every major city over the past decade. They weren't weapons, not directly. Instead, they created localized fields that disrupted any technology more advanced than our own. The Empire's sophisticated targeting systems, their shield generators, their gravity manipulators, all started failing within Earth's atmosphere. I watched through tactical displays as their smaller ships began dropping from the sky like stones. The bigger ones managed to stay airborne, but their precise formations dissolved into chaos. Admiral Chen's strategy was working perfectly, forced them to fight on our terms, with our level of technology. Status report. Chen demanded, her voice steady as ever. Phase 1 successful, Admiral, our tech chief responded. Their ships are limited to basic propulsion and manual targeting. They're essentially flying tanks now. The Empire's response was predictable. They launched ground forces, probably assuming that their superior numbers and physical capabilities would give them an easy victory. Their drop ships descended through the clouds, carrying what we estimated to be millions of troops. That's when we revealed our second surprise. Every major city on Earth had been preparing for this moment for years. What looked like normal buildings began to transform. Skyscrapers split apart to reveal anti-aircraft guns. Parks unfolded into underground bunkers. Streets themselves shifted and changed, creating defensive positions and trap zones. The Empire's troops found themselves fighting not just against Earth's military, but against our cities themselves. But the real genius of humanity's defense wasn't in our weapons or our tactics. It was in our people. While the Empire's forces were trying to establish beachheads in our major cities, ordinary civilians were executing plans they'd been practicing for years. Teachers were coordinating evacuation routes they'd drilled hundreds of times. Construction workers were deploying hidden defensive systems built into their projects. Even children knew exactly which underground shelters to run to. The Empire had expected panic. They'd expected chaos. Instead, they found a species that had been preparing for this exact moment for generations. I remember watching their ground commanders' faces on our intercepted communications. Their confusion was almost comical. They couldn't understand why their advanced weapons were failing, why their supposedly superior troops were being outmaneuvered by simple human tactics, why every civilian seemed to know exactly what to do. "Sir," one of our communications officers called out, "we're intercepting signals from their command ship. They're requesting a temporary ceasefire." Admiral Chen raised an eyebrow. "Already? We haven't even shown them our real defenses yet." The room fell silent. We all knew what she meant. Everything until now. The quantum pulse networks, the transforming cities, the civilian response plans. That was just our first line of defense. Our real surprises, the ones that had been keeping the highest levels of military command awake at night, were still waiting to be unveiled. As I looked at the tactical display showing the Empire's forces regrouping, I couldn't help but wonder, did they really think we'd show all our cards in the first round? They were about to learn another crucial lesson about humanity. We always keep an ace up our sleeve. The ceasefire lasted exactly 6 hours, just long enough for the Empire to realize they'd severely underestimated not just our military capabilities, but our sheer determination. Their crystalline Supreme Commander appeared on our screens again, but this time there was no trace of amusement in their multifaceted features. "Your resistance is unprecedented," they admitted, their translated voice carrying a hint of what might have been respect. "However, you must understand that this is merely our first wave. We have resources beyond your comprehension." Admiral Chen listened patiently, her hands clasped behind her back. When the Supreme Commander finished, she simply nodded to our communications officer. The message we sent back was just 3 words: "So do we." That's when we activated the Prometheus Protocol. For decades, the world's greatest minds had been working on something that seemed impossible: a way to use Earth's magnetic field as both a weapon and a shield. The theory was simple, but the execution had required technological advances that we kept hidden from our own population, let alone any watching eyes from space. As the Empire's ships began their second assault, the sky itself seemed to come alive. Aurora-like lights danced across the atmosphere, but these weren't natural phenomena. They were the visible manifestation of Earth's magnetic field being manipulated in ways that our scientists had once thought impossible. Their energy weapons dissipated harmlessly against this new shield. Their ships' navigational systems went haywire. But more importantly, the magnetic pulses were having an unexpected effect on their crystalline technology. It was starting to resonate at frequencies that made it unstable. "They're pulling back," our radar operator announced, excitement creeping into their voice. Their entire fleet is retreating to high orbit. But Admiral Chen's expression remained grim. They're not retreating. They're preparing for their real attack. She was right. Within minutes, our deep space monitoring stations detected massive energy signatures. The Empire was bringing in their planet-killer ships, vessels capable of rendering entire worlds uninhabitable. This was the moment we'd been waiting for, the moment to reveal our final and most desperate card. Initiative Lazarus is ready, Admiral, the chief scientist reported, his voice trembling slightly. But the calculations, the margin for error is. We don't have a choice, Chen cut him off. Humanity knew this day might come. That's why we built it. I watched as she input her authorization code, followed by confirmation codes from other world leaders. On screens around the command center, we could see massive structures beginning to emerge from beneath Earth's oceans, from the hearts of mountains, from the depths of our densest jungles. The Empire's planet-killer ships were moving into position, their weapons charging up to deliver what they thought would be a killing blow. They didn't realize that humanity had spent the last 50 years preparing for exactly this scenario. As I looked at the determination on every face in that command center, I understood why the Empire's warning systems had never detected our most powerful weapons. They weren't looking for what we built because it shouldn't have been possible with our level of technology. But then again, they'd never encountered a species that turned its greatest weakness, our short lifespans, into our greatest strength. While their civilization took centuries to make decisions, humanity's brief lives made us innovate faster, take bigger risks, and achieve the impossible simply because we couldn't afford to wait. Now, as their planet killers descended toward Earth, we were about to show them why underestimating humanity would be the biggest mistake their empire had ever made. And this time, there would be no warning. As the Empire's planet killers descended, a transmission cut through all our communication channels. It wasn't from the crystalline Supreme Commander. It was from somewhere deep within their own fleet. The voice spoke in perfect, unaltered English. This is Vice Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force, broadcasting from inside the Empire's command vessel. The entire command center froze. Everyone turned to look at Admiral Chen, who was standing right there with us. She smiled, and for the first time, I understood why she'd seemed so confident throughout the invasion. 20 years ago, our Admiral Chen explained to the stunned room, we discovered a way to send consciousness across vast distances. While we prepared Earth's defenses, we also launched Operation Ghost, embedding human minds within synthetic bodies, infiltrating the Empire's ranks years before they even discovered our existence. On our screens, chaos erupted across the Empire's fleet. Sleeper agents, humans in disguised synthetic bodies, were activating simultaneously across their ships. They weren't there to fight. They were there to disable the Empire's planet killers from within. But the Empire wasn't finished. Their Supreme Commander's image flickered onto our screens again, but this time something was different. The crystalline being seemed to be changing. You think you're the only ones who can hide in plain sight. Their voice had shifted, becoming something ancient and terrible. We are not the Empire. We are what the Empire is running from. The crystalline surface of their form began to crack, revealing something beneath that our sensors couldn't even process. The energy readings from their ships suddenly changed, becoming wildly different from anything we detected before. Admiral Chen's face paled. They're not really the Galactic Empire, she whispered. They're refugees using the Empire's abandoned ships. They're running from something worse, and they just led it right to us. Above Earth, the false Empire's ships began to transform. What we thought were weapons were actually defensive systems. What we believed was an invasion force was actually the last line of defense for a civilization on the run. And now, at the edge of our solar system, our long-range sensors detected new signatures. Massive holes were opening in space itself, and through them came shapes that seemed to defy physics. The real enemy, the true threat that had been chasing these refugees across the galaxy. Admiral, our deep space monitoring station reported, we're detecting thousands of, we don't even know what they are. They're bigger than anything we've ever seen. In that moment, humanity faced a choice. The refugees we've been fighting had nearly depleted their resources trying to warn us, trying to prepare us for what was coming by testing our defenses. They could have told us the truth, but they needed to know if we were strong enough to face what was following them. Admiral Chen straightened her uniform and looked at the refugee commander's image on our screen. "I believe," she said with a grim smile, "this is the moment where we discuss terms for a military alliance." As the real threat approached our solar system, I realized that everything up until now, our defenses, our strategies, even Operation Ghost, had prepared us for something far bigger than a simple invasion. We hadn't just proven ourselves worthy of survival. We'd proven ourselves worthy of being the last line of defense for a universe under siege. And as I watched human and refugee commanders beginning to share battle plans, I understood why they'd chosen Earth. They hadn't found us by accident. They'd been searching for the one species stubborn enough, creative enough, and just crazy enough to stand against an enemy that consumed entire galaxies. The real war was about to begin. The joint fleet of human and refugee ships formed a defensive line around Earth, a sight that would have been unimaginable just days ago. We'd integrated our technologies faster than anyone thought possible. Human ingenuity, combined with their advanced systems, created something entirely new. Our quantum pulse networks, originally designed to disable their ships, were now being used to amplify their defensive capabilities. The enemy arrived like a storm of darkness. Their ships, if you could call them that, moved like liquid shadows through space. They didn't communicate, didn't make demands. They simply began consuming everything in their path, breaking down matter at its fundamental level. "They're not attacking," Admiral Chen observed, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "They're feeding." That's when we unleashed Initiative Lazarus, not as a weapon, but as bait. The massive structures that had emerged from Earth's hidden places weren't just defensive platforms. They were broadcasting a very specific energy signature, one that made Earth look like the most tempting target in the galaxy. The Shadow Fleet took the bait, just as our combined scientists had predicted. They swarmed toward Earth, ignoring the defensive line of ships, focused solely on what they thought was an unlimited energy source. As they entered our atmosphere, the trap was sprung. The Prometheus Protocol, which we used to manipulate Earth's magnetic field, had been modified with refugee technology. Instead of just creating a shield, it now generated a quantum resonance field that matched the exact frequency of the shadow being's molecular structure. We couldn't destroy them, but we could change them. Now, Chen ordered, and every human on Earth, whether in military bases or civilian homes, activated their assigned quantum transmitter. The refugee ships added their power to ours. The shadow beings found themselves caught in a web of energy that forced them to maintain physical form, something they hadn't done in millennia. But the real surprise came from deep within the Earth itself. Our planet's magnetic core pulsed with a power that none of us had ever detected before. The refugee commander's voice came through filled with awe. "Your planet. It's alive. It's been waiting for them." The shadow beings tried to retreat, but it was too late. Earth's magnetic field, amplified by our combined technology, had created a quantum prison. For the first time in their existence, these cosmic predators were trapped, being forced to evolve, to change, to become something new. Then came the twist none of us expected. As the shadow beings transformed, they didn't die or disappear. They began communicating, not in words or signals, but in pure consciousness. They were the original inhabitants of our galaxy, evolved beyond physical form, driven mad by eons of solitude. Earth's unique magnetic field, combined with our technology and the refugees' knowledge, hadn't just trapped them, it had healed them. The refugee commander's crystalline form shimmered as they processed this revelation. "We've been running for so long. We never considered that they might be saved." Admiral Chen stood at the command center window, watching as the transformed beings danced through Earth's atmosphere like auroras of pure thought. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "the best way to win a war is to remind your enemy of who they used to be." The shadow beings, now restored to their original consciousness, shared their gratitude in a way that every human on Earth could feel. A warm pulse of energy that carried understanding and knowledge. They had been the guardians of our galaxy once, before losing their way. Now, with humanity's help, they could be again. As I watched this impossible piece unfold, I realized that humanity's greatest weapon had never been our technology or our determination. It was our ability to see hope where others saw only threats, to find solutions where others saw only problems. We hadn't just saved Earth. We'd helped heal an ancient wound in the fabric of our galaxy itself. And somewhere out there, the real galactic empire was about to learn that Earth was now under the protection of something far more powerful than their fleets could ever be. In the months that followed, Earth became something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. A nexus point where three vastly different civilizations learned to coexist and thrive. The restored beings, whom we now called the Guardians, shared their ancient knowledge while rediscovering their purpose. The refugees, no longer having to maintain their facade as the Empire, revealed their true nature as brilliant artists and philosophers who had preserved the cultural heritage of 1,000 worlds. Earth's cities transformed again, but this time not for war. The quantum pulse networks that had once been weapons now powered new forms of clean energy. The defensive installations became centers of learning where humans studied alongside crystalline refugees, while Guardian consciousness provided insights that bridged the gaps between different sciences. Admiral Chen took on a new role as Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, not the Empire's version, but a new one, founded on principles of cooperation rather than conquest. She often said that her proudest moment wasn't winning the battle, but watching human children playing in parks alongside refugee youngsters, their laughter mixing with the gentle aurora-like glow of Guardian beings watching over them. The real Galactic Empire did eventually discover what had happened. Their scout ships appeared at the edge of our solar system 6 months after the transformation. They found something they'd never encountered before, a system protected not just by advanced technology or military might, but by the combined strength of 3 civilizations working in harmony. They sent their usual demands for surrender. Our response was simple. We broadcast images of our world, showing them what was possible when different species chose to understand rather than conquer. The Empire's ships withdrew, and while they never officially acknowledged our independence, they also never attempted to challenge the strange new power that Earth had become. Operation Ghost continued, but with a new purpose. Those human consciousnesses in synthetic bodies became ambassadors, helping other worlds understand that resistance wasn't the only option, that there was a place in the galaxy where differences were celebrated rather than feared. I still work in that same command center, though my role has changed. Instead of monitoring for threats, I help coordinate the exchange of knowledge and culture between our civilizations. Sometimes, late at night, I stand at the window where we once watched for invasion fleets, and I see the Guardians dancing through the sky, their consciousness interweaving with the quantum fields that now connect all life on Earth. The refugees have begun building cities that float in our oceans, their crystalline structures refracting sunlight in ways that make the seas glow with colors we never knew existed. Their children, yes, they have children, are growing up knowing Earth as their home, just as human children are growing up seeing the universe as their birthright. Yesterday, one of our deep space probes detected another civilization on the run from the Empire. Instead of hiding or preparing for war, we sent them an invitation. Earth has become a beacon for those seeking something different in the galaxy, not just a safe haven, but a place where being different is the very thing that makes you valuable. They say the best stories are the ones that end differently than they began. Ours started with a warning to run, but it ended with an invitation to stay. We thought we were preparing for the greatest war in human history, but instead, we helped heal an ancient wound in the galaxy itself. And as for those who ask if we're worried about the next threat, the next invasion, or the next war, well, we still keep our defenses ready, our strategies sharp, and our determination strong. But now we know that the greatest power in the universe isn't the ability to win wars. It's the wisdom to turn enemies into allies, and the courage to choose understanding over fear. That's the real story of how humanity changed the galaxy, not with our weapons, but with our humanity itself.